So you're going to breathe in, and as you breathe out, float one arm up. We're just isolating that arm, breathing out as we lift, in as we come back down. So although I'd like your posture to be good here, I'm wanting you to concentrate here for the moment on your breath. It's a nice easy movement with the arm to allow you to concentrate on the breath. Breathing out. So you're not moving with me, you're moving with your own breath. You should get to the top as your breath finishes. Breathing in to bring it back down. Okay. As you finish your next left arm float, we're going to continue with the same, but I want you to then bring your focus back to your posture. So have you engaged your core? Have you pulled your belly button back towards the spine? Feel as if you've tightened up the muscles across your abdominal. Have you allowed your hips to drop forward or your pelvis to tilt back, depending on your own posture type? So we're taking the arm up, you're going to reach up and over, and take it back down. This is getting some mobility in the shoulder. It's going to help with opening up the shoulder girdle as well, so you're going to open up across here by taking the arm back as far as is comfortable. And again, don't worry, if the arm is in front, that's not such an issue, as long as you're feeling it where our focus is today. You'll often find with the exercises I teach in my classes that I might teach it totally different. It's because I have a different focus. And today I'm focusing on opening up the lungs, loosening up the upper body. I'm going to change it this time, moving one arm up, bring the other arm up to join it. And you're going to use this hand you've brought up to grab the wrist, and this time you're going to reach up and over, which is going to stretch into the upper body. I'm going to let go, keep your hand there, you're going to feel that a little bit more here. Now if you're in front, you're still going to get that, but try and pull that arm back so that it's in alignment here rather than forward. Now I'm not too worried with this one, whether you keep your hips in alignment or whether you push them out to the side. Listen to your body, do what feels good for you. So one arm up, bring the other up and grab the wrist and reach over. So you've got that position there. Or if you push the hip out, it's going to extend the stretch. So you do what feels best for you. Longer term, you might want to switch to pushing the hip out. Bring the arms down, changing sides. Right arm up, bring the hand to grab, reach and stretch. So again, think of being between two panes of glass. You're not allowing your body to lean forward, and you're going to think about your posture throughout. So breathing in, breathing out, breathing in, breathing out. We're going to do one more each side. Breathing in, breathing out, breathing in, breathing out. Last one, left side. Breathing in, breathing out, breathing in, breathing out. Little fingers forward, toes back. Now, we're trying to open up across the chest here. What I often find I tend to do is I lift my chest when I do this. So really be aware of that when you're doing this work, that you keep from doing that. So it's keeping that posture back, stretch across the chest. We're trying to open up upper chest, across the shoulders, This is also going to help your posture because you're opening up through the shoulders. But if you keep that chest down, you're not going to open up through the chest. Now let's change the position and take it down and hold. Coming forward and up and taking it down and open out. Coming back and circle shoulders. A little bit of rotation side to side. Again, whether you're seated or standing, you can get some rotation. So having let the hips go if you're standing, I'm going to now ask you to do that again. We're going to bend my knees slightly. So I've just bend my knees slightly so that I can get my pelvis tucked under. And I'm going to twist from the waist. So I'm keeping those hips, and I've got the knees bent to keep those hips forward. I'm twisting from the waist. In fact, let's take our hands, one on top of the other, and twist from the waist. It's not about moving the elbows round, so try and avoid pulling the elbows. You're taking the head and the whole of the upper body, twisting from the waist. I've got fairly good mobility here. You might find you're nowhere near as mobile. You might find you're only moving a small amount to each side. That's fine. Opening up through. So chin to chest, one vertebrae at a time. Rolling down as you breathe out, rolling in as you return back up. Again, be aware of your posture. Think of where your feet are when you do this. Try and avoid sticking your bottom out. More down. As low as is comfortable. And we're going to do that about 4 times. And after 4, come down to sitting. As you can see, I've turned my mat around slightly. This is just so that I've got enough room to move. I need a little bit of room behind the mat so that I can open my arms for the arm openings exercise. We're going to be lying down, but I just want to go through with you briefly. When we're lying down, the fingertips are going to be touching, shoulders are going to be stacked, and we're going to be opening out to the side. So one arm's going to be coming round, opening out. It isn't about twisting the arms, it's not about touching the floor. Let's come down to the floor. I've got a block with a towel on top. A cushion will do fine, anything to support the head. Your head's going to be on the front of the block. Bring your knees forward, as if you were sitting in a chair. So ankles, knees, hips stacked, 90 degrees, 90 degrees, taking those arms out in front, touching the fingertips. And I'm going to suggest that you breathe in as you open up. We're opening up, we're creating space. Taking the arm back as far as you can, letting the head go with it. Breathing out as you return. So we're compressing the body, compressing the lungs as we come back. So let's breathe out there. Breathing in as you open up, expanding the ribs. Now, anyone with osteoporosis might wish to allow their knees to move. For the rest of you, I want to try and keep that top hip lined up so that you get the maximum rotation in the spine to increase flexibility of your spine and open up the gaps between the ribs as best you can to give you optimal breathing. and stop any restriction caused by tenseness in the ribs. So you're moving with your own breath, breathing in through the nose, out through the mouth. In as you open up and expand, out as you come back and contract. Fingertips touching at the front. Okay, from there, I'm going to get you to come onto your back and keep the little arms out wide to the side. It can be comfortable. If it's more comfortable lower down, that's fine. And if you feel more comfortable without the block, then for your posture it's actually better to have a very small block or nothing under your head. Feet and knees together. Now again, anyone with osteoporosis can keep both feet on the floor. What we're going to do is take the knees down to the right, lifting the left foot off the ground, breathing out as you go down, in as you come back. Pause at the middle, breathing out. And in. Out through the mouth, in through the nose. Just give a little pause at the top. Lifting the top foot off. And again, as well as those with osteoporosis, anyone who's struggling with this, finding it's a little bit too much, you can reduce this movement by allowing both feet to stay on the ground. And here we're just getting some mobility in the lower spine and opening up through the lower ribs. From there, we're going to go onto the other side. So you have a choice. You can either turn away from me, or my preferred version is that you change your head to the other side of the mat so that you can see what is happening. Again, your block needs to be towards the back of your mat. Your knees are coming forward as if you're sitting in a chair, fingertips touching. Your head's on the front of the block, fingertips touching, knees stacked, hips stacked. And you're going to open up. Again, trying to keep the knees together. Think about opening up through the chest. Now I'm having to adapt here slightly because on this side I'm actually touching the wall, which is why I asked you to move away. If I did that, you wouldn't see me at all. Fingertips touching as you come back. Breathing in as you open up. Breathing out as you come back. Letting that head go with you. Trying to keep the knees together. And just getting the amount of rotation that you can through the spine and opening up the rib cage. Coming back. Touching the fingers together. From here, I'm going to ask you to come onto the front. Now I'm going to ask you to come up to sitting and watch this one, or look sideways, but try and avoid looking up directly at me. Taking your forehead onto the mat, onto the block, or onto the floor. Elbows in, by the side of the body. And we're going to come up into a baby cobra. Try and relax the feet. Just lifting up through the chest. Try and relax your bottom. And just hold that stretch. And then release back down. Breathing out as you lift. And you turn your head towards me. Turn it back centre. And release back down. Try and keep the feet and the bottom relaxed. Lifting up again. Turning the head to the side. Down. Lifting up. Turning to the side. And once more to the other side, looking away. And release. Bring the hands under the shoulder. Just push up onto all fours and stretch back. Now I'm going to get you to come onto all fours and we're just going to do cat and cow. So arching the back up. Really feel that stretch through the upper back and release. Lifting the chest to the sky. Try and keep your neck relaxed for this. If there's too much on your wrists, then by all means come onto your fists, or you can use a block to put underneath your hands so that the angle is slightly less. Coming back to neutral, I'm going to ask you to turn around and sit and watch me for a moment. So again, with these exercises, I'm trying to avoid you putting any strain on your neck. So I'd like you to watch me first. I'll take you through both exercises we're going to do. We're going to have hands, arms underneath, breathing out, breathing in. I'm doing this a little bit fast, you're going to do it slower than this. We're going to do a few of those, so arm floats, then I'm going to take you to leg slides. It is slide, the foot stays on the mat, you bring it back, try to keep the pelvis still, breathing out, breathing in. So we're going to do some individually, and then we're going to do a hold. So when I say, you'll then come into an opposite arm and leg and hold, trying to keep the weight even as you can. When you've had enough, you'll bring it back. You can stretch back if you need to. So starting with arm floats. Weights evenly between the hands and the knees. Try and watch that you're not dipped back. We're going to take an arm float. Breathing out. Breathing in. Breathing out. Breathing in. Breathing out. And through the mouth. And through the nose. Don't forget to engage your core. Bring your belly button back against your spine. Once more each side, and then we'll change to legs only. If you need to sit up briefly, give your elbows and wrists a bit of a wiggle, then please do. When you're ready, join back in. And again, with this one, do as many as you're comfortable. If you need to stop and rest, please do. Sliding that foot away along the floor. And bring it back in. Slow and controlled, trying to keep the pelvis as still as possible, trying to move with your breathing. So as you breathe out, you're going to slide that leg away, engage the core, and hold and control. It stays on the floor. Breathing out. In through the nose. Out through the mouth. In through the nose. And again, it's in your own time. If your arms start to hurt and you need a rest, please come back. Stretch through. Roll the wrists. You know your body. Listen to it and see what it wants to give you a rest. Now we're going to come back onto that all fours position. And you're going to take opposite arm and leg away and hold. Try and be aware of what's happening with your middle body. So try not to arch your back. We're looking for a straight line if you can. Doesn't matter if your arm and leg are lower. When you start to wobble, bring it back in. Rest back if you need to. And change sides, hold. I'm going to get you to do 2 each side. If that's too much, then stop after 1. just stretch back into child's pose. Just get a stretch through the lower back, through the rib cage. So, if you've got really flexible hamstrings, then this is less important for you, but those of you that have tight hamstrings, you're going to be better off with your strap, dressing gown band, belt, towel, whatever else you can adapt to support your foot. I want you to take that block away now. If you're going to use a block, optimum is about that thickness. That's about 1 inch, maybe slightly less than 1 inch. No or no block at all, which is going to help keep your head in its neutral position. Lying back down on your mat. Really open up through the shoulder blades. And start by taking the feet hip width apart and become aware of your pelvis. So you're going to tilt your pelvis. We're not lifting the bottom, we're just doing a little north-south rock, pushing the small of the back into the mat, a little bit of an arch away, until you come back to neutral where the pelvis is flat. So if you put your heels of your hand on these two burning protrusions on the top of your hips and do a triangle, and have a quick peep. If your fingers are tipped up, you're too far one way. If they're tipped the other way, they're too far the other. So it should be fairly flat. A little bit of gap under the lower back, and we're going to stretch our hamstrings. So some people won't need the strap, but I'm going to get you to take your right leg in the air, use the strap, and I want the leg to be straight, so I don't mind where the leg is, but I want you to feel that stretch in the back of the knee. Now for me, this is comfortable. For me, I can hold it, but some of you won't be able to, so we're going to use something to hang on to. Try and relax the arms and just hold that stretch. We're going to hold this for a little while to try and develop the stretch to make you more flexible in the long term. Okay, and release, and take it back up. See if you can come a little bit closer. Again, ideally, the weight of the leg is either going to be directly above your body if you're flexible enough, or you're going to be holding it in the strap. And you're going to feel that in the back of the knee and down the back of the thigh. Okay, let's change legs, so switch round. Here using the strap. Bring your feet back to hip width apart. Be aware of what's going on with your pelvis and take that leg up. So again, if you're there, that's fine too. Try and relax the upper body. Keep the shoulder blades nice and wide. Just keep the leg straight and bring it as close as is comfortable for you. So again, if it's there, that's fine. If it's there, that's fine. You've got the support of something to hold it. Okay, and release. We get rid of the strap now. Go back to the first leg, and I'm going to ask you to bring the knee in as close to the chest as you comfortably can get it and hold the leg, and then push the heel up towards the ceiling. Flexing the foot and stretching up. And release, taking it down. Come back to the other side, bring the knee into the chest, take the hands underneath, flex the foot and push that foot and going up in that way. So I'm keeping the knee in as close to my body as I can get it. Next exercise, anyone who's got problems with their hips are probably going to need to leave this one out. I'll ask you to put the soles of your feet together and let the knees drop out to the side. Now, I know a couple of people in the class are really going to struggle with this. You can hold underneath here to give it a little bit of support. If that really is uncomfortable, leave this one out. We're not going to hold it for very long, just to get a little bit of a stretch through the inner thigh. Okay, legs back in. Bringing both knees into the chest now. Those of you that can, I'm going to ask you to lift your shoulders and head off the ground. You don't have to. Anytime you need to, put your head down. And we're going to do single leg stretch, hugging one leg in, other hand comes across. Breathe in, breathe out. Breathe in. So I'm hugging one knee, the other leg's about 45 degrees. Shh, in, shh, in. So this one's a little bit faster. Doesn't have to be very low, you should be feeling in your tummy. If it starts to hurt in your neck, by all means put your head down. If you can then relift it, then great. When you've had enough, hug your knees into the chest. That's a little faster than we normally do that exercise. Give yourself a little bit of a rock. Hug your knees into your chest. Circle the legs just to release everything through. Okay. Next exercise we're going to do, legs both out wide. We're folding from the waist. It's not a bend of the spine, it's from the waist only. Arms come wide, taking the left arm to the right knee. And some of you that's going to be as far as you go. Watch that you're not lifting this hip and just slide down as far as you can comfortably go. This hip stays. Coming back. You don't have to lift the arms this high. I'm doing this again so that you can see I'm resetting in the middle. Arm comes to the other side and slide as far as is comfortable, keeping this hip on the floor. Coming back up. Breathing in. Try not to lift the chest, just open through, fold from the waist as far as you comfortably can. Breathing in. It's with your own breath. Out through the mouth. Breathing in through the nose, out through the mouth. So we're trying to do the thoracic breathing, the ribcage breathing if you can, and you hold in with the breath. In your time, not mine. So you're doing it with your own breath, trying to lengthen and strengthen the breath. Legs a little bit of a shake out if you need to. So for the next exercise, anyone who's got problems with their knees or their hips hurting, you can do this exercise with the legs back in this sort of position. Again, they can be slightly bent as well. Those of you that are perfectly mobile, you're going to keep your right leg straight. You're going to bring your left foot in. So we're going to want to potentially put our weight onto that knee in this workout. So, hands in line with your bottom. So my bottom's in line with the back of my mat, so I'm taking my fingers out to the side. I'm going to breathe in. Side of the bent leg, so this is our left side. You're going to take the arm up by the ear. Reach up first. Stretch over and feel that stretch to the side of the body. I'm leaning down into the other arm. Keeping that arm straight. It's more about reaching up. I'm reaching up to sort of the area where the ceiling and the corner of the wall in this room meet. Trying to keep the arm back in line with the ear and release, coming down. So this time you have a choice. You can take the arm up and over and just bend the knee. Bend the elbow even. Those that want to can extend this by coming up onto the heel and reaching over. But again, think of reaching, and that's really going to extend the stretch through that rib area. This is optional. You can keep the hip down if you prefer. And release. Okay, let's change sides. Obviously, those of you with the legs wide, you're just going to stretch one side and then the other. So again, taking the hands back, shoulders back and relaxed. Taking the arm up by the ear, reaching up, bending the opposite arm and just stretching across, feeling those rib cages, your ribs or your rib cage opening up. Beautiful. And release. Coming back, taking the other arm up. So if your legs are out straight, again, you're just going to reach up and over. So you're going to get exactly the same thing both sides. For those of you that are able to or want to, take the weight into that hand, come up and stretch. And again, it's stretching up. Really extending the stretch. Beautiful. And come back down. Open out. Okay. We're going to do some of our usual stretches. So let's start sitting with the legs out straight in front. Those of you that need to sit on your thin block, you can now, or even a thicker block. Think about your posture sitting upright. Legs out straight in front, hip width apart, sitting tall, shoulders relaxed down. And just think about your breathing for a few minutes. Do that thoracic breathing and just feel that ribcage breathing, just to feel whether or not you're restricting your breathing by your seated position. And if you are, please adjust. Bring the right knee in and take that foot over. Left hand comes and holds, hugs. This arm comes behind, close behind your body, and you're going to gently look over your shoulder. Coming back the other way, bringing the elbow on the inside, and either drop your hand down or you can keep it up and look over the other shoulder. And release. Taking that leg in front, so the leg that you had on the top is going to go in front, crossing the ankles over, sit tall, wriggling forward. Obviously, again, if you've got problems with your knees or hips here, then you can leave this one out. Just sit comfortably and concentrate on your breathing. Well, I'm feeling that stretch in this. This will be your left hip, easing forward. Okay, let's change legs. Opposite leg comes over. Hugging with this arm comes close behind, and you're looking over your left shoulder this time. Foot stays flat on the floor. You're hugging that knee in to stretch through the hip. And then come back the other way. Either a hand comes up or down to the floor, and again, watch you're not pushing that leg away. Keep that foot there. Use that for a little rotation. Adjust accordingly. If you know that you've got osteoporosis, you might not want to make that too strong a push, but you do need to get some rotation. Open up. Okay, that leg comes in front. And once again, if this is not good for your hips, then by all means leave this one out. Sit comfortably and concentrate on your breathing again. So this is going to stretch the opposite hip. Easy. Okay, from there we're going to come up to standing. So I'm going to ask you to stand with your feet together this time. And be aware of how the weight is between both feet. Spread your toes slightly. Now what I hope you're going to notice is that compared with standing with the feet hip width apart, that you actually feel a little less stable, that you're going to wobble a little bit from side to side. And we're going to do a few movements with our feet in this position. Bringing the hands up, palms to the ceiling, elbows in tight to the body. And we're going to do dumbwaiter. Just opening out. And this movement comes from the shoulder, not from the elbow. And I want you to try and keep those hands either pointing straight forward or out to the side. So try and avoid crossing the body with the hands. We're trying to open up the shoulders, which is going to improve your posture, but also open up the upper chest area. And let's change that now to Cleopatra. So this is a gentle balance exercise as well as our arm movement. Okay, from there I'm now going to ask you to take your feet out to hip width. Check if you need to. Watch that your feet are pointing forward. Think about your posture again. And we're going to do exactly that same movement again. So bringing the elbows in, take them back, opening out, coming back in. Think about engaging your core. And does your balance feel better in that position? It should do. So I did that for two reasons. One was to make you aware of how much more balanced you feel in this position with your feet together, but also because you'll be slightly out of balance. And release. Let's flip the hands the other way. Palms down. Take them out. Reach as far as it's comfortable. Bring it back in. Elbows in tight. Relax. And push down. What I'm going to do today, I'm aware that at least one person is having problems with hips and feet at the moment. So if you can't do this one, then obviously you're going to leave it out. But I ask you to do a tightrope walk. So think of the tandem stand. We're trying to take one foot in front of the other. Walking forward, keeping the head up. And going backwards. Now as you're doing this, we're trying to keep the feet pointing forwards. And you might, like me, going backwards, find it a little bit harder. If you can get that toe touching the heel, even better. Put the hands where you need to for balance. Keep that head up though. Now if you start to walk like a penguin, tucking your toes out, then one, you're not using these muscles, the glute medius muscles in the side of the buttocks, sort of back of the thighs area. They're getting weaker, which is going to make your balance worse. So just be aware of that. If you know you turn your feet out, watch you bring those toes in. Try again. If you're finding this is too much, do take your feet a little bit wider. Do make the steps a little bit bigger. Or you can cheat, like I've been doing slightly, by using the wall. So once more. You are going to wobble a bit on this, but remember, engage your core. Keep your posture best you can. Last time back. Well done. I thought I'd throw something a little different. I know you're all capable of doing it, very similar to some of the previous exercises we've done, but just a little bit different for today. Let's now think about the pelvic stability. You need to come up on your toes and alternate. Try and keep the pelvis as still as possible. If you put your hands on your hips or your waist, but hips is probably best because you will feel what's going on, you and I will be able to tell whether or not you're wiggling your hips from side to side. Try to move up and down. And release. Come up and balance on your toes. Doesn't have to be very high. I've come up quite high here, but if you can only manage half an inch or so off the floor, that is fine. When you've had enough, relax, give the middle of a shake out.